In this video, we'll demonstrate how to import data from different types of file systems into NoviLens. If we start with this home page of projects, we can go to Create and give the project name and Save. Now, what I have here are no dashboards, but I do have a new project. In order to import things, we start on the main menu, and if I go down to data tables and then click New, you can see there's no tables listed because nothing's been created yet. I have my different sources for bringing information into the system. I can either use a database importer, a CSV import, or set up a crawler. We'll start with a database import. Now, I can add a new database and you can see here the different types of databases we can connect to, and then put in a host name. And this is a Postgres. Username and password. And then we can do a database connection. And this tells us now that we've had all these configured. Now remember, I do already have permissions and things like that within the system that allow me to connect to different databases. All right, so we know now that we can go in and connect. So if I go back to data tables, I can create new, I can also choose a CSV file. Same sort of thing, I specify the name, choose a file system, and here we'll just bring in some data that we have. Let's go to here, downloads, and bring in the CSV and import. And you can see the importing is in progress. Now, once the import's complete, here's that source again that tells us we can go back to the list of databases, and I can connect on that to data tables, saying I want a new data table. I'm going to choose this source, and here are all the different CSV files that are available, or different database tables that are available to me. So let's go down and pick a data table that's hopefully not too large. And I think that this one will work. And you can see that the import is in progress again. So now there's two different ways that I've done that. I brought in the database tables, and I brought in a CSV. Now, once the import is finished, we have a lot of options available to us, as highlighted in the text of the tutorial. You can establish many-to-many relationships, and those basically are, again, when I do this, I'm taking a foreign key field, so I could say equal from whatever text I have to another table that has the same sorts of things. Now, again, all of these tables have to be associated within that project, and then once when I create that, I'll have a primary versus and foreign key relationship. Now, we'll delete that because nothing really exists there. If I go back to the table list again and go to warning letters, you can see that, okay, I have this and I have the many-to-many if I want to establish relationships between tables on things that aren't foreign keys. Again, that's covered in another tutorial. I can also schedule the import to say, look, every day at this hour, go back and read that database. So if you have something that's constantly updating, the system will take that for you. Now, the other thing is if I bring a table in, sometimes I have to modify the data, especially if I've brought in a CSV file. If I want to change the data type, here I'm allowed to do that with a bunch of different types of selections depending upon the columns in the table. back. If I want to set up primary and foreign keys, again, this is where I would set up my constraints to do that. If I have new indexes, which I generally will want to do, is prepare full text indexes on items that are going to be used for natural language processing. For everything else, generally I'll use a B tree index. And what this does is this speeds up the performance of the system when it's doing your analysis. And finally, if we look at generated fields, this allows me to generate either a geography matching point if I have longitude and latitude. If we click on that, you could see that it's given a name and it asks you for the longitude and latitude in a column. And then it'll create the point for mapping using our mapping widget. And finally, what you can see here is that with the unique constraints, we could also, or generated field, we could also do a dictionary match. And that's covered in another part of the tutorial. So if we go back and we look at the data import and tables, just to review, we have three options. The crawler, I'm going to cover in a separate video because of the different terms or the different activities there. So for now, this video covers both the database import and the CSV import. Thanks for listening.